Hey there, animation lovers. Looney Cat here, and welcome to the third podcast. Remember how you couldn't believe when your favorite show had an episode moment that blew your mind? Well, that's what Rascal and Mama Entertainments are tackling today in this newest episode. This is Paws on Animation.
Thanks, Looney Cat.
Hello everyone, Rascal Entertainment's here.
And Mama Entertainments, welcome to our podcast.
Today we'll be covering our top 10 What the Fish moments from animated TV shows. These are the moments that took us and the internet by surprise from the time the episode ends to the end of the series.
And first up, we have a dishonorable mention with Clay's episode of Shaolin Chronicles.
The Magic Stallion and the Wild Wild West. First of all, what the heck's wrong with that title?
Oh, it wasn't the Wild West by any means. That does not look any way, shape, or form like the state of Texas.
Well, no, I don't know why with that show. Even in the original show, it was like that. For some reason, Texas was just a big old desert. There were no cities, there were no rivers. It was nothing but just hot deserts. Like, it's not Nevada. Then you're confusing your states.
Exactly, right. But what's worse than displaying Texas as the desert is Clay's behavior.
Oh, yeah. If you remember seeing this show, I know you want to forget it too. But they had this episode in Chronicles, which is a non-canon, thank goodness, continuation of Shaolin Showdown. And they go
awesome.
They go to Clay's home in Texas to stop Jack Spicer from... What was he doing? I think it was he and Panda Bubba. They were basically going to create McDonald's.
Just being stupid.
They were going to create McDonald's.
They were being stupid.
It was somehow they were going to cook the cows into burgers, and then they put the serum in there and makes them delicious. I think they were going to make McDonald's. And when they were trying to calm the cows down and herd them, they had this new Shingon move that Clay used to calm the cows down, especially if you could speak to animals, which was in the original. But it's the way they used it that was really just stupid. He sang a song to the cows that calmed them down. It was Bring Back My Heifer to Me. Like, what the heck is this?
And if you would like to see this disturbing moment, there's going to be a box that pops up or a card that pops up for you to see Rascal's mashup she made regarding her reaction to this horrible, horrible episode.
I know not a lot of you have seen it because I wouldn't want to see it either, but I had to show you guys because it was just a monstrosity of animation.
Now that's our dishonorable mention. Now to our top 10 countdown.
At number 10, we have Ben 10 Alien Forces episode, What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Episode where Fredona's real origins are revealed, and everyone was definitely surprised.
Now, even though this is when the series first started and people were kind of getting used to this new Ben 10 feel, because if you remember in the original, it was an action comedy cartoon, and Alien Force, which takes place 5 years later after the first series, took a more serious tone, and it took a while for people to get used to it. Mm-hmm. But we ended up enjoying it anyway.
Absolutely.
In one of the episodes, Ben, Kevin, and Gwen are at this lake, and they find a tree with a dead plant on it, and it has, on the marking on the tree, it says Max X Fredona. And it turns out, after a fight with the seemingly harmless old lady, it turns out that's the tennis's grandmother.
Right, and his grandmother is an
alien. I guess that partially explains Alien Force, so you gotta have some aliens.
With a superiority complex, because she discovers that while Gwen has her powers, Ben does not.
Right, and it is explained that he is part Aphrodite too, but he just doesn't use them or hasn't attempted to use them. He just has the watch. But Gwen has pretty much mastered abilities which she thought was magic at first. It turned out to be her alien powers.
Right. So that was pretty much, I would say, definitely what the fish moment, because no one had ever thought in a million years that not only had Max married an alien, but that Gwen's powers were coming from actually alien origins.
Right. And it really fit with the show because, of course, there was family drama. And you got a small little origin from the episode, but it wasn't until Ultimate End where you got the full story of how Grandpa Max met her. But this was good enough because just enough knowing that there's alien blood in her family was just enough to just put you in a state of shock.
Right. And it was brilliantly done. Kept hidden all this time, and it was nice the way it was revealed, and a backstory where a lot of questions that the fandom had were definitely answered. And you kind of understood why Grandpa Max acts the way he does and spends so much time with his grandchildren after the, I guess you could call it a breakup with Verdona choosing to leave.
Right. And it explains why I was like, why come you never see a grandmother? Because I think you assume in the first series that just maybe she passed on, but they don't have that in this series. No, of course it's gonna be the weirdest thing possible, and she's an alien.
So for this episode, what are little girls made of? Aphrodite?
Yeah, they are Aphrodite. Apparently Aphrodite.
Aphrodite?
And especially when you look at the planet, it's like it looks like a giant atom. Almost, so I guess that coincides with like the DNA code. So a lot of it. That's the other thing I like about the shows is that it really uses terms and words that you probably wouldn't be familiar with and didn't think that were real, that were made up for the show. And then you find out later on, like in your research or in your schoolwork, that these are real words and what they coincide with, they mean within the show are really well done. And this was definitely one of those examples with Verdona.
Okay. At number 9, we have My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Twilight's Kingdom, Parts 1 and 2.
Bronies unite!
Where Tyrek, a powerful centurion foe from Equestria's past, has escaped from Tartarus and is draining magic from ponies to grow stronger. What the fish! We did not expect to see this in a Friendship is Magic episode.
Right, it's a show about colorful little ponies learning about friendship, and then you get this dark, him-like creature that's sucking up magic and is a monster threat. Now, what makes him different from the other villains is that the others have either reformed or they've been defeated, or they just weren't as big as a threat. They've caused chaos, it was a threat, but it was something that could be handled quickly. But T-Rex was not. I mean, he was an actual monster. He was a ruthless monster willing to destroy anything in his path to get all that power and rule over Equestria. And you wouldn't expect it to go that dark in this show and have ponies fight back.
Absolutely. And then you also had him be able to cause Discord to turn on Fluttershy and to help him to overtake the kingdom.
Right.
And as you mentioned, the good thing with Discord, since on one hand, he's a character that has done all these naughty things.
Yeah, he's the
but
controller
on the other
of
hand,
chaos.
He's a character that's learning to reform. He does straighten out the wrong that he's done and brings it back to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic arc.
Right. And it wasn't where he stayed evil after that, because he really was tricked. He said, you must have seen this coming. He said, no, I really didn't see this coming at all. And he did feel bad when he was betrayed and he found he betrayed them. And it wasn't fake or he was going to go back to being a villain. He really did feel sorry.
Now, you're probably wondering, why is there an episode of My Little Pony on this list? Because amazingly, My Little Pony has turned out to be one of the shows we look forward to watching on Netflix as we go through this series, seasons 1 through 7.
Right. And right now, as of making this podcast, we're on season 5. And this happened, I believe, at the end of season 4. With a 2-part season finale. If we're wrong, then feel free to correct us in the comments. It was just an unexpected season finale. I know that it does, I've gotten familiar with the show that it does really big season finales and season premieres. And this has to be one of the biggest ones besides the Canterlot wedding arc.
And I think this episode itself shows two things. One, it shows why you definitely cannot categorize this particular version of My Little Ponies as just for kids.
Or girls show.
Exactly, because of the the storylines and the drama that's in it. And number two, you also cannot write this off as a show that's boring and has nothing to offer, because episodes like these, and there are more that actually do appear in the series, let you know, or understand, I should say, why there are bronies and ponies and everybody else who loves Friendship is Magic. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with all the terms, but
that's okay. I'm getting used to it too, so
I can understand why this show has become so beloved from watching this incarnation of the series.
Right. And I never really made fun of bronies or guys that liked My Little Pony in general. Everyone likes what they like. I have no problem with it, because now I see for myself why everybody likes it, including guys. It just shouldn't be branded as a girl show, which was one of the controversies of this, is like guys were into and they were getting the wrong idea. And it's like, it's just a cartoon. It's a fun cartoon, and there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of character to it. There's creativity, imagination. It's not just for little girls.
And again, back to the title of the show, Friendship is Magic.
Right.
So clearly this show has become magic for many people worldwide.
And another thing I want to mention before we get to the next one is that all the villains, including Tyrek, has a theme that's sort of the antagonist of friendship. Like, Discord is, of course, chaos. You had chaos. You've had the villain from the Canterlot Wedding. What was her name? Crystalis? Mm-hmm. Crystalis, she was deception. You had the underwhelming villain who appeared for like 10 seconds, was like hate. And then you have Tyrek, who was betrayal. And there's probably another one, but all of them are this theme that is supposed to be an enemy towards friendship, and that's really creative that they turn into a personification of those themes.
Those traits. Mm-hmm.
And they've made that into a villain where it really is something that can disharmonize friendship.
And that leads us to number 8.
The same show, but this time we're going to the start of season 5, the Cutie Map, parts 1 and 2. Now, I want to let you start off this one, because this was a really freaky episode to start off a season.
This is another episode, well, 2 more episodes that we didn't see coming, that we didn't expect to go this dark. Now, for those of you who are too young to know, or who didn't watch it with your parents like I did when they were younger, this is actually a shout out to a movie called The Stepford Wives. The movie aired in the 70s, but the version that I saw actually aired in the late 80s or early 90s. And there's a husband and wife that get lost and end up in this town where the husbands are the kings of the castle, and the wives are very obedient, and they do whatever they say, and they're perfectly coiffed, and they're beautiful, and there's no type of problems. Everyone is equal, everyone is happy, everyone is friendly. Now, because they like the couple, they want to induct them into their, you might as well say, their cult,
right?
And they want them to live where they live, and so they try to show them, hey, this is a great place, you can live, and you and your wife will be happy. Little did they know that there was a dark secret for this town.
Right.
And this is where the Cutie Map comes in.
And it's almost identically the same plot, but rather than going for the incredibly dark, but it's still dark, but instead it's a town where all the ponies have equal marks and no magical abilities. There's nothing that stands out about them. They're all literally the same. Their color palettes are really dull, all except for the leader, Starlight Glimmer, which is to be suspicious from the start. And from the time the main 6 get there, it's almost like they want them to stay and see their way. Mm-hmm. And at first it starts all nice and calm, like, would you like to join us? And then it gets to a point where they're going to force them to become equal and brainwash them, St. Olga School for Wayward Princesses style, and just brainwash them becoming equal like them.
And they take their cutie marks. Now this is where it kind of starts to mirror the Stepford Wives, because they actually take the wives and they eventually kill them and they replace them with robots. So the Cutie Map duplicates that by taking everyone's individual cutie marks and harbors them, and they end up with these dull, dark equal signs on the side of their butts.
You know why They got blank flanks.
Okay, they're flanks.
But yeah, that was a pretty crazy episode. Even when having going to some of the other villains before that time, that was pretty much like a psychological what the fish moment. Because it was literal brainwashing. And this isn't something you figure in a show about friendship and ponies. It's the last place you expect to see it. And they take it with all the seriousness possible.
And it was masterfully done for this type of show. It had me intrigued from parts 1 and parts 2 to an ending that if you haven't seen it, we won't spoil it.
Right,
but
if you're new.
The ending we did not expect. So this was just masterfully done and definitely written by someone who's familiar with the Stepford Wives franchise.
Right. I think they did a really great job on this too, because like I said, I know I keep saying it, but I have to say it just puts you in shock. It's like they're really going here. They're really going to do this type of episode in My Little Pony. It's not something you expect. You should expect it because the way the episodes go to when they fight these villains, but not to a point where it's literal brainwashing.
And the exact what the fish moment we can tell you without spoiling the ending is that the pony who was in charge,
Starlight
Glimmer, still had her actual individual cutie mark, and she had painted over it with equal signs, whereas everyone else, she had taken all of their cutie marks, including the girls who came to visit the town.
Right. And wow, I can't say it enough. That was just a really well done episode.
And then when she was found out, she didn't take all the other cutie marks that belonged to all the regular townsfolk. She took the cutie marks of
the main
Friendship
six.
is Magic group.
Yeah,
right,
of the main six. And they're trying to run off. Like, what are you going to do with them? You can't. I don't think you can put them on. You got one.
So this is a double header for My Little Pony, What the Fish moments.
All right. Next up at number 7, we have
the DuckTales pilot in which the mom is finally revealed.
Now, I've never seen the original DuckTales series, so I had to ask you because you've seen it, and this global phenomenon, I'm the only one who's probably like, I have never seen it.
Well, in the original DuckTales series, we never saw the parents. They never talked about the parents. You never heard from the parents. The parents were non-existent.
And I'm sure that was a question for fans now, like, what happened to their parents?
Yeah, we always wondered, but we never knew, and it was never told. Now, the big shocker here, the what the fish moment in the pilot is when you suddenly see a picture and
it's the very end and you see what's her name, Della Duck. She finally has a name and adventuring with a Scrooge and Donald on a pirate ship. And in the very last line is when his name Dewey, the blue one is Dewey. He's like,
Dipper.
Mom? And then that's it. It just ends right there. So not only is it a shock, new fans, because this is written by some of the people from Gravity Falls, you got this big mystery now. Plus it's all shock to returning DuckTales fans from the 80s with a new mystery that was never introduced in the first show.
Exactly. And it was the welcome mystery because, again, you always wondered, where are their parents? What happened to their parents? It's just like they didn't exist, or you assumed maybe they were on summer vacation like Gravity Falls. You never really knew. So this is a nice twist. See.
Right. And as the show goes on, it's kind of stopped for now about the mystery, but for the first couple episodes, they do try to delve into it, and you see, of course, all these secret rooms and hidden passages. It's like, yeah, you're getting Gravity Falls vibes from it. And I know that more is going to be revealed later on because it's going to have a long season, and it's been renewed for the second one, so they're definitely not going to drop this after like halfway through. This is definitely going to come back up again. We can't wait to see what happens next considering this arc.
But they've got our curiosity piqued.
Especially with Gravity Falls fans already here. And like I said, seeing that the writers from that show are in charge of this, that's great that they're putting their skills to this, and it doesn't feel like it's a ripoff from something else they've worked on. They treat it as a whole new concept.
And it feels really fresh and new. I mean, watching the pilot, I didn't sit and go, oh, well, this came from this, or they didn't do this like they did in the old show, or why didn't they? It's so fresh, so new, so different, so well written that, yes, I appreciate the original DuckTales, but I'm really loving the new DuckTales. And I really want to see how this season unfolds and how that little teaser about the mom plays out before the season finale.
Yeah, I'm looking for that too.
That brings us to number 6.
Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 2 finale.
A huge what the fish moment.
Star crushed. Oh gosh. It was the moment that everybody had feared since the beginning of the series.
Poor Star.
Oh, we all thought when it was time for Star to leave, it'd be at the very end of the series. People had planned this out all over the internet, in comics, in fanfic, in videos, in fandubs. We thought it was gonna be a tearful, tearful send-off, tugging at your heartstrings, like, oh, I gotta end the series with her leaving for Earth. And what are they doing this series?
No, Disney couldn't let us have that satisfaction.
No, because this show likes to subvert everything. They just rip your heart out and have her leave halfway through the series. And you're just left with the empty room and not even an outro of, I think Earth is a pretty great place. Instead, they leave you with the house and her room's gone. No music or anything. And you're just sitting there just stunned like, what just happened?
At that moment, we could all empathize and relate to how Marco felt.
And yeah, in the very next episode, he's crying and he's like just depressed over. Like, it's sad but funny at the same time, because this is exactly how we felt when all that time left with that heartbreaking season finale, and then coming back to that, it is technically how the fandom felt. So they knew what they were doing.
And what made it a really, really what the fish moment is you were left hanging. You had no idea what was going to happen. That was just it. That was the end. And we had to wait a while to find out what happened.
Right,
and
like
the
several
fandom
months.
was going wild, and we were going crazy. And we were like, "What the heck?" And we were like, "What have you done?" And we were like, "Poor Marco." Oh.
Yeah, it finally happened. It's not the reaction everyone was expecting. Like we said, we were waiting for the end of the series, not the halfway point. Because we are technically, if Star ends with 4 seasons, then we are at the halfway point for season 2. But it just didn't expect that to happen at all.
I think this is a testament to just the writing brilliance of Darren Nefsey. You are left surprised many, many, many times in this series so far. The plot twists you don't see coming. The way that the characters unfold and develop, the way the series is developing, the way the 2 main characters are growing as people and as teens, and it's just, Darren Nefsey is awesome.
Right.
And thank you, Disney, for hiring her. Thank you, Disney, for putting this show on.
And letting it stay on all this time, not canceling it 2 seasons in, looking at Wander Over Yonder.
Star Crush is a true what the fish heart crushing moment.
Yeah, it definitely left you star crushed.
Number 5.
Troll Hunters, Season 2, Episode 12, Unbecoming.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this series, it airs on Netflix, and it stars a young teen named Jim who gets access to this, what we call it?
It's, not a medallion.
Okay,
it's
a medallion.
Yeah, let's just say medallion.
A medallion that has the powers to turn him into a legendary troll hunter who, coincidentally, has never been human before.
And it's his duty to protect Troll Market and Trollkind from Gum-Gums, which are evil trolls, and Gummar, which is the leader of Gum-Gums.
But it also ends up being him protecting the Earth from the evil trolls who want to come in to our dimension and to take over.
Right. Now, when you first watch the show, you're probably thinking, oh, we've seen this before. It's an unlikely hero. He has to save the day on a regular basis. And while you might think that at first, as the show goes on, it proves to be more than just the cliche unlikely hero. It proves to have a lot of depth within all the characters, plot twists you probably didn't see coming. An all-star voice cast which does a phenomenal job at their roles. The villains are very threatening and believable. The heroes are very likable and relatable. It also relates to teen life and balancing life of a superhero and a normal kid. No, it's not Spider-Man, but it's still on par with being a great story about that life.
Now, with all that being said, his partners are his best friend Toby and then a girl he likes named Claire, who has become part of their group and helping him to undertake what his destiny is.
Right.
And the reason all this needs to be explained is because in episode 12, Unbecoming, he suddenly decides that maybe it wasn't a good idea that he found the medallion, that he became the troll hunter, and true to the Christmas movie,
It's a Wonderful Life,
that he decides that maybe true to It's a Wonderful Life fashion, he decided maybe he should have never become the troll hunter.
Right.
Then
the medallion actually starts to speak to him and grants his wish of never becoming the troll hunter. So it kind of resets the series to the first episode and changes the story
into one that was full of no hope. Nothing good transpired. It just became one of the darkest and most horrible episodes ever seen in any animated series.
Right.
In such a short period of time, 23 minutes.
Right.
These writers managed to show you the worst case scenario, no hope for mankind, no hope for troll hunters, and just all these dire outcomes for people he loved. It was the end, and it was graphic, not in terms of being bloody,
right,
but it was graphic in terms of your understanding. All of these people died. All of these people were gone. The good that he did was nowhere to be found.
Right. The people he helped were no longer reformed or even existed.
And it reminds us of an episode of Shaolin Showdown in which Omi traveled back to the past called
Time After Time. It was a 2-part series finale, and Omi wanted to make Chase Young good and stop him from becoming evil. But he kind of messed up going to the future, and it turned out that Jack Spicer ruled the world, and it put all his friends in prison. It was decades later because they were really elderly, and by the time they helped him rag on go back to the past, yes, Samurai Jack reference, Jack had just killed them all off, but it was inferred that they were dead, and you just didn't see it on screen. That was just as terrifying as the Troll Hunters episode.
The difference is with Shaolin Showdown, you understood that they all had died. When Omi gets back to the present and he's crying and he's wailing, and then you understand that all of them died.
Right.
And that's as dark as that one. But this show went a little darker by showing you everything that happened up until the point where we won't spoil the ending. But of course you know that since the season continue, he's still the troll hunter. But the way in which the end of the episode played out was masterfully done.
Right.
And I don't think that Jim will ever sit and think about maybe he should have not been a troll hunter.
Right, because the way they have written this, it wasn't the cliche where, a few things are different. I mean, he wasn't seeing anything that was going on, so it started off okay. I mean, some things were different and it was just minor.
He was happy and he had the normal life of a preteen boy.
Yeah, and then it turns out, probably at the halfway point,
actually
not the
teen, sorry.
Right. At the halfway point, that everything literally goes to crap. Gunnar escapes. His son is still alive. They're killing all the trolls. The last troll hunter returned to stone, and the thing's crushed, so there was no hope. Humans were being hunted. Troll market was being invaded, and it was just a mass spree of chaos. It was literally the end of the world.
So literally, it became hell on earth.
Right,
it actually
and it was true to words that he was meant to be the troll hunter. Despite what the other trolls thought of him, it was meant for him to be the hunter. Not just because he was human or be different, because he was truly meant to protect the worlds.
And also, I like this episode a lot. I mean, very, very much, because besides that, it also helped Jim to mature and to understand his place in this destiny of the troll hunter. And it also helped him to have a stronger resolve and more faith in his outcome, because in the next episode, he ends up going to trial with the tribunal of the trolls. And he goes with calmly, and he goes with assurance and a certainty that he's doing the right thing, and that he would not change how anything had transpired from the beginning of season 1 up into episode 13. Which is going to be when he's on trial. So it showed growth. It showed him understanding. And unbecoming the troll hunter helped him to become an even better troll hunter.
All right. Truly, that was a really great episode. Once you get over the shock, you really understand what went into this episode.
Now that leads us to What the Fish moment number 4. Back to one of our favorite shows,
Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Season 3, mid-season finale, Monster Bash.
Episode 24.
Episode 24, okay.
Miss Hana's reveal as
Meteora Butterfly. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Now, I gotta say this. We kind of expected her to be part of the Butterfly family because of her cheek marks back in the 10th episode. But none of us ever thought in a million years she'd be the daughter of Eclipsa.
And Monster Love.
And that just took us just like, what the fish?
Yes.
We thought it'd be a sister, a long lost aunt. Didn't think it would be her daughter.
Yes, no one saw this coming. No one in the fandom. There were no theories any place online that anyone mentioned that Miss Hana was going to be the offspring of Monster Love.
Right, they mentioned a connection, but not that direct.
Right.
And part of what I love about Star is that they always have the best mid-season finales and season finales. They're sure to leave you wanting more every time it comes to that turn of the show. Because now we are at the game changer. Especially with the end of the episode where she's now in her part monster form, which she was subconsciously keeping hidden all these years. And when she said that last line,
I had truly forgotten that she was even a monster.
Right, because then everything started coming back to her when she entered this room that apparently was her old nursery, and had her crib and her dolls of her mom and Monster Love, and it just was like everything was just coming together. Now, like, this can't be happening. And at the very end of the episode, when she has her full monster form now, and you now know she's not going to be in hiding anymore. And I love the music they put at the end. It's just like this crazy rock, what they call a rock theme that at the very end is like, the crowd's about to go down. It's another status quo changer.
Exactly. I like how the episode started off. It started off calm and unsuspecting.
Right.
You just had your little drama between Star and
Tom, like Bonbon, the birthday clown,
and Tom, and this is what we really thought Monster Bash was going to be about. Even though it said Monster Bash,
right,
we were thinking that the highlight of this episode was going to be the dynamics between Marco and Tom and Star and how this is going to play out. But no, Nepsy, you gave it to us again, and we were like, what the fish has happened?
Right. At first it's about when Star she has, signed the treaty for peace between monsters and humans, and at first things go well, then 2 of the guests disappear, then more and more guests are disappearing, and then they're starting to become suspicious of each other, and when they go investigate, they come to this room, and then they have Mina Loveberry there, which is now an ironic name, and it just becomes a full-out brawl, and it just escalates. Even Bonbon had the same thing, but now it's even more intense here because now you have 2 major villains out for them.
And a bigger reveal. And again, they caught us off guard. So, what the fandom needs to remember, if we ever have another episode that we know is going to be a major episode, and it starts off all calm and unsuspecting, we better be ready for the what the fish moment, because Darren Nefsey's gonna give it to us.
Yeah, because she has been in charge of about every episode so far this season. It might change later on, but so far it's been the same 5 writers for this first half of season 3, plus the holiday ones, always been the same people. So you need to keep this group writing, because clearly you are keeping us interested every episode, especially with Monster Bash, because nobody saw this coming, and then you make us wait months for the next episode.
But that's okay, because all of us Star vs. the Forces of Evil fans, we only have to the 22nd of January to get our fix.
Right, and then you gotta talk about what happens after that, because something else big is gonna happen by the time this goes up. Then we have to talk about, oh my gosh, the season finale. Okay, so now move on to number 3, what the fish moment. It's from Gravity Falls, the mid-season finale of Season 2, Episode 10, Not What He Seems, in which Stan's long-lost brother Ford returns, who turns out to be the author of the journals.
And his identical twin.
Yep.
What the fish.
Yeah, I know everyone does the secret twin brother. Only difference was they didn't turn evil, but
Not
didn't
like
expect this. It's the one time where a secret twin. There were no hints or anything. They didn't think it was a brother or anything. It's just you knew probably a resident of Gravity Falls, but the fact that he was related to the Pines family, related to everything weird, it was like the missing link to all the weirdness that was happening.
And to learn that Stan had actually taken his identity and used it all the years while he was gone. What the fish?
No wonder he was so mad. The first thing he did coming out 30 years later was punch him. Like, why'd you do it?
That was one of the best turns in animated history, which is why it's our number 3. Took you to a place where you just didn't expect a show to go, an animated show to go.
Yeah, and it's not even just that part. I mean, that was just the icing on the cake. The whole episode from beginning to end was engaging. And like someone pointed out, the plot just continually just kept escalating. It kept escalating. There was no room for jokes, no room for breaks, no room for filler. It was just going to keep you on edge. And from the beginning to the end, all building up to this point where you think it's going to be the end of Gravity Falls, where Mabel will go press the button and it becomes the choice of who does she trust?
Right.
Stan or Dipper or Heart or Hermione? What are you going to choose? And we were on edge of our seat like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Exactly. Now we have to also give a shout out to the voice actor who does Ford Pine.
J.K. Simmons, who you may remember as Tenzin from the Legend of Korra series.
He is a voice acting
pro. But it was fun having him on there because I honestly thought Alex Hirsch was going to do the voice of his brother too, because usually that's what they do. It's probably just the creator in a different voice, but no, they actually went and got a big star to do the voice, and he actually did fit.
It was a
with
great
the personality.
choice, right? He has this way of making the characters his own, and he definitely made Ford Pines his own. It wasn't just, okay, it was Stan and maybe little Stan or maybe nice Stan or maybe mean Stan or evil Stan. Ford Pines is a totally different character.
Right. They might be twins, but they're definitely not the same.
And it comes across in each voice actor's portrayal. So, Gravity Falls, mid-season finale, season 2, episode 10, Ford Pines Return, is our number 3 What the Fish moment. Now, number 2, which is one of my favorite shows ever, from Avatar: The Last Airbender, season 2 finale, episode 20, The Crossroads of Destiny, when Azula kills Aang.
Oh man, at the time when we were starting to get these more than what they seem cartoons, Avatar was technically the second. In the end of season 2, Azula had pretty much tracked down Zuko and Iroh and the Avatar. She was going to get everybody she was after all at once. And we ended up having this big fight scene at the end. Spread out Katara versus Zuko and the Dai Li and Azula. And Aang finally figures it's time to go back to the Avatar state so he could end this. And just as he's at the...
But he was handicapped because he did not complete going through the 7 levels.
Right. And the master said, if you leave now, you won't be able to go in there at all. So he was going to finish his level up, I guess you could say, his level up training, and unlock the last chakra, and he was going to the Avatar state, which was working. And just when he's at the peak of going powerful, what does Azula do? Strikes lightning through his back and killed him on the spot.
Well, we should also tell him that the reason that he did not finish his training because the requirement at that point was to release all that he loved, and he did not want to let go of Katara.
Right.
He stopped, especially when he found out that she was in trouble. He sensed that she was in trouble because he was in the Avatar state and could tell, and he just refused to finish, and he didn't care because his love of his life was in danger. So this put him at a serious disadvantage with Azula.
Yeah, and she just striked him down as he's falling. You're like, oh no!
And we thought he was just hurt. We didn't know that he was dead.
Right.
We did not know that Aang had died. We're like, oh, he's hurt. Oh, he's going to be really hurt. No. This series took it all the way in. Aang was actually dead.
Yes, not just faking it or unconscious, not coma, just flatline. Because when you look, he had it through his back, from the foot through his back, so it went through his entire nervous system. It's like, yeah, that was it. The Avatar state, with the Avatar age of the Avatar was gone for a moment. Mm-hmm. It was literally the end until Katara used the healing water from the Northern Water Tribe and brought him back to life, because that was a scary moment.
It was definitely one of the top what the fish moments in animation history. Normally, the protagonist does not die.
No, never. Because that's the end. That's the end of your show. And there that leaves you with a lot of angry fans killing off your main character. Mm-hmm. But in here, they managed to do it only temporarily, and it was in a way that still advanced the plot. Because now at this point, it's become the darkest hour, and the Earth Kingdom was taken over by the Fire Nation. So it looked like for this moment the villains had won for now, and it was a long time before Aang woke back up, and then you got season 3 was finishing their quest.
Right. This episode, to me, served two other purposes. One, it let us know truly how evil Azula was. We thought maybe there was some type of redeeming quality because she was Zuko's brother. Right. And we all knew that... Sister, I'm sorry. And we all knew that Zuko, even from the beginning, you could tell Zuko was not all that he appeared to be from the very first episode. He was... Right. He was this Fire Nation prince, and honor! He had this thing about getting his honor back, and you knew he was supposed to be the bad guy, but there was just something about Zuko that made you know there was more to him than met the eye. Right. Azula, I think we all had the impression that maybe it was the same with her, but this episode let you know not a freaking chance. She is evil, power hungry, and she will kill. Right. That was it.
And that was a big leap for this show.
Exactly. There was no unanswered questions for you about Azula. She could be charming. She was calculating. She was astute, but she also, unfortunately, was a murderer. Right. And she had no qualms with killing whom she needed to kill to get what she wanted. So that was one thing that this episode let us know. And the second thing was it let us know the seriousness of this battle that was going to ensue at the end of the series. Right. Up to this time, you'd had some lighthearted episodes, you had some serious episodes, but I don't think we really understood in the scope of this series the seriousness of the Fire Nation not winning, of the Fire Lord not winning against Aang. And we found out through Azula, who was her father's duplicate, that they would do anything to stay in power and to take over the world. And this episode truly conveyed the seriousness of what this whole entire show was about. Right. With all the wonderful episodes, this one here, the Crosswords episodes, definitely let us know, hey, amidst all of these wonderful episodes and the humor
and the characters
and the growth of the characters and things, this is what it comes down to. This is going to be the prequel to what's going to happen at the end of the series. Is Aang going to be able to step up and to kill like he needs to do? Because it's clear that the Fire Lord, just like Azula, would have no problems killing Aang.
Right. And it's apparently apparent when you get to near the end of the series and how this plays out, that, and it's one thing Aang refuses to do. He would never kill, and he didn't want to kill the father, even though he was like the biggest murderer ever. He was still not going to kill him.
And this is one of those animated series that is not just for kids. And
it's so mature. It's become an animation staple. Now most adventure, fantasy, quest series have to live up or take inspiration from Avatar, because it became just an international phenomenon, as declared as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, cartoon of all time.
Absolutely. This leads us up to our number one what the fish moment in animation history. And this particular one has not even been resolved. And so this is why we feel it deserves the number one spot. And since one of my favorite characters are in it, I get to introduce it. Okay. And it's Voltron Legendary Defender Season 2 Finale, Episode 13, Blackout. Shiro's disappearance.
I thought you were going to say something else. Shiro may not be my favorite. It's Mama's favorite. Seriously, Absolutely. It's her favorite. But it still took you by surprise whether he's your favorite or not. It was just the utmost bizarre cliffhanger ever.
And one reason it turned out this way because most of the fandom, in all honesty, was expecting it to be like a spin type takeout where he'd either get shot or he'd get hurt and they'd kill him later, or it would be some twist to one of the other strange incarnations, either Voltron Force or original Voltron 84 or one of the other Voltron versions.
Like Gold Lion Force, yeah.
But they surprised us, totally surprised us when the battle is over and they think they've defeated Zarkon, when at the end all of the paladins and Allura and Koran all go into, I guess you could say, the cockpit of the Black Lion to see if Shiro's okay because nothing had been heard of him, and find that Shiro has absolutely, completely disappeared.
And without a trace, no explanation or anything. You were just left there. It's like star-crushed flashbacks. It was just missing, and you wonder, where did he go? And then not only you get that bombshell, you also get the introduction of Prince Lothar, who was on his way in the next season.
And he also left his
Bayard in the lion.
Absolutely.
It was the last thing there, and he was just gone, but the Bayard and the lion were still intact. And for a while, I kind of thought that he was maybe in the lion, maybe he became quintessence, he was literally in the lion.
Or he'd been transported somewhere else, we thought.
And and it was just like a jaw dropper, and then you had to sit and wait for Netflix to decide when to put up the next episodes, and then find out what happened to him, and it was kind of a questionable answer.
And we didn't know what was going to happen when it came back. And I didn't even want to watch this episode again until we went and watched the entire series again for the return of our fake season 4 and our fake season 3. And then what do they do to us? DreamWorks doesn't tell us what's happened to the real Shiro. We all know that this is Zero. This is not Shiro. Where in the heck is my Shiro? We don't know what's happened. So 2 more fake seasons later, we're still left with the blackout, the results of the aftershock of blackout. Where's Shiro?
Yeah.
He still disappeared. We don't know if this is a clone or a clone.
And no one questions this.
We know it's a clone, but is it the first clone, or is it a clone of a clone?
A new
or
clone?
If it's number 3 or 4, where's Shiro? And they pretended like nothing happened in fake season 4.
Right.
They didn't bring it up. It wasn't addressed. And they left us with a whole lot more unanswered questions that we are expecting in fake season 5 to have answered.
And what was really bizarre is that they were piling all this stuff for you to look at, because people went back several times through the episodes to see what they missed. And there were several hints to notify you that this could be a clone, or there's another clone on the loose. And you don't know if the clone's on the ship, or this is the ship we're looking at, and that's the new paladin. Mm-hmm. And the excuse they came up with in the show is that the lion transported him out of danger. But the question you want to answer with that is, why would he transport them to a Galra ship?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, it's leaving you with a bunch of questions in your mind, and you're wondering what's going to happen next. Why aren't you addressing this? Why isn't anybody questioning what's this Operation Curon? Is this going to come up later? And then you got the scene with Lothar at the same time, so now you've got 4 or 5, 6 different things going on at the same time.
And the disturbing thing is you see when Zero wakes up and he's looking around the Galra ship and he sees, there is someone, either it's the Shiro or it's a clone of Shiro with dead eyes. So you know something's wrong the minute that you start seeing out of Zero's eyes that we know it's not Shiro. You absolutely know it's not Shiro. You know from other things that, like, the hair growth is too long. You know by how he looks and his build and his personality later, when he tends to not be as cool and calm and relaxed as we know Shiro to be, or he's short-tempered, or he speaks to Keith in tones that he normally wouldn't speak to him. I said we'll wait till later. He just starts doing things that are not characteristic of the Shiro that we know, whether it's the actual Shiro or the first clone.
Right.
And there are all these little hints that this isn't Cheryl, but then it's not discussed.
Right.
It's not addressed. And we don't know what's happened to him. And of course, with the horrible, horrible friggin' outfit and haircut that Zero has that cannot be canon, I've got to get the real Cheryl back.
You're like, who designed this for you? I mean, I'm sorry. I know that people may like the outfit, which is fine, of course, but not us. I mean, that just didn't look right.
No.
It looked like the outfit wasn't finished. Like it was in the first draft, and they decided, let's use it. And to quote somebody out, like you just said, I'm sorry, I gotta repeat this quote because it's like one of the best quotes I've ever heard. To quote a person on Tumblr, this better be a clone because that outfit and that haircut cannot be canon.
Oh my. So yes, this is why it's our number one. It's still unanswered. 3 seasons later, if you count the season he disappeared plus fake 3 and fake 4, the question still hasn't been answered. We still don't know what's happened to Cheryl. And my fear, and I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories and a lot of theories,
and most of it's the clone one.
But my true fear is that the Cheryl that we know is dead. And they just aren't telling us that he's dead. And I didn't think that at first, and I was holding out hope. But the longer this goes on, and the longer they don't bring it up, and the more hints we get of that this particular Cheryl, this clone, may not even be the first clone. He may be a second or third clone, which stands to reason. Okay, then if are you making copies from the original Cheryl, or are you making copies from copies? Because if you're making copies from copies, then that would indicate that the real Cheryl Gani is probably gone.
Right.
So,
and everybody messed up because Shiro does have a big following with fans. I mean, everyone's got a favorite paladin, but there is a big incline towards Shiro.
And I think also that would just be a horrible end to this character. From the very beginning, he's been tortured. He's been captured. He's been beaten, whether it's been by aliens or it's been by monsters. And it's like, can this guy get a break? And every season, he doesn't get a break.
No, every time you turn around, he's getting hurt for some reason. And it's like, these writers are kind of malicious towards you. I don't know what. I don't know if they have maybe a fascination towards, torture. I mean, it's one thing you want to show how strong the character is, but not to a point where he's almost beating the air out of him. And it just got to the point where this is getting it's kind of violent. It's not even just survival. It was more like he was just at the mercy of the writers.
It's actually getting old. We don't want to see this anymore. We don't want to see any more torturing of Shiro, and we definitely don't want to see him dead. But unfortunately, we're going to have to wait to season 5 to see what happens. Now that you've mentioned Lotor, we'll talk about him a little in terms of Shiro's disappearance and in terms of Zarkon, who was believed to be dead. You've already seen season 3 and 4, so no spoilers here. You know that Zarkon makes a recovery due to the use of quintessence, and that Hagar, in distress, decides to summon Prince Lotor, who is Zarkon's son.
Right.
And Lotor has no plans of taking over his daddy's empire. He doesn't want to do it.
By surprise, no.
He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to be there. And he happens to be, thank God, so different from any of the other carnations of Voltron.
Because I'm sorry,
I would hate this character if he was anything like any of the other Lotors that we knew from the other series. However, they stepped it up. He's attractive. He's intelligent. He's cunning. He's diplomatic, even with his enemies. Mm-hmm. He's an astute fighter. And he's learned how to take people that are similar to himself with his all-female army to go about with his plan of whatever domination he plans on doing.
Heck, the first thing you see him do in his introduction in Fake Season 3 is take on this giant alien in the arena, take on a guy who was planning to overthrow him, hearing him from miles away, and get the entire Gulra ship on his side with one speech.
Absolutely.
That showed just how charismatic and how charismatic he can be with people and to join him or believing in him.
He's like a character that has been developed from the book The Art of War. Now, what I'm beginning to wonder, and I don't know if any of you have, just, post in the comments section some of your theories of what you have. But I'm beginning to wonder now, since Lotor is in search of trying to get an unlimited amount of quintessence, does he know what's happened with Shiro? Not because he's involved in it, but because he knows what Zarkon and his mom Hagar are up to, what they've been doing and practicing. And there are even some theories out there that maybe Lotor died as a baby and was brought back with quintessence. So it's going to be interesting to see how quintessence, what role it plays in further seasons, what role it plays in Lotor's overthrow possibly of Zarkon, what role it plays in Zarkon trying to be emperor of all these universes, and what role it may play in Shiro's reappearance. Maybe even if Shiro is dead, maybe quintessence can be used to bring him back.
Right.
So,
if it's that powerful.
Right. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out. But again, this is why Voltron Legendary Defender Season 2 Finale, Episode 13, Blackout, Shiro's Disappearance, earns our #1 spot.
Well, that was definitely fun. And sorry if we spoiled anything for you if you watch these shows, but you should know in the comments that spoiler alert right now, kind of late, but this is spoiler for all these shows. Except probably Avatar, because everyone in the world has probably seen that by now.
Right. So, we hope you've enjoyed our top 10 and our dishonorable mention. If you've got some other favorites, list them in the comments.
Right, we love to hear from what other shows either we may or may not watch that had just what the fish moments and we just didn't tackle them here.
And then maybe we can devote another episode of #2, What the Fish Moments, to some of your favorites.
Right, and we'll give credit to whoever comes up with it and shout outs.
Absolutely, and we'll even give a shout out to your channel. Now, coming up, our next podcast will be animation quality of Studio Mir. And the shows that Studio Mir animates or has animated are
Avatar Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, and Voltron Legendary Defender.
3 awesome, amazing, top quality shows that everyone is familiar with.
Yeah, and they've really made a staple for just cartoons in general and being anime inspired animation, and it's just you want more of it. It's take my money, if I give you all my money, will you give me more of these shows? That's it for our list. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Rascal Entertainment,
And this is Mama Entertainment.
and hope you have a toontastic day.
Peace out.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in the form of a locket.